Alright guys, time to cry back again today. Hope you're enjoying your day so far, and another day, another piece of GA news it seems, with the CDL kicking off next weekend at the Kickoff Classic less than a week's time from today. It seems the sniper attachments have potentially been GA'd all but one. Interesting to me, given that a couple of weeks ago the pros were talking about how Crimsix was completely lying on the timeline for saying that the sniper attachments might have been GA'd in some online tourney. Now it seems like that is the case. Intrigued to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below, and plenty of other things to touch on today as well. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Also this weekend, of course, the Challengers Cup number 4, as Joey Nubsy says, Proto and the boys just lost to a 17-year-old hacker. Think there needs to be some interventionists, so not only cheating, but also being 17, not even old enough to play in these tournaments, getting knocked out, of course, Proto and the guys that were losing their opportunity to win those pro points, which are very valuable in these Challenger Cups going forward for the Challenger Elite Series and all that type of stuff going forward. So yeah, still awful stuff on the Challenger side, but as it continues right here, a lot of the, the usual suspects arriving in the top 8 for each region. So in the North American region, Zaptius and co, that being the Western team, once again, they're on for the 4-peat. So yeah, these are the top 8 as it stands right now. Parasite's pickup team manages to make it to top 8 as well. Have to see how they continue going on against Onyx and co in in the matchups coming later today. Then in the European region, we get Afro, Defrag, Gizmo, Weeman are still all here. That was the team that won it last time, I believe. Hydra's team also here with, no sign as of yet of him getting out to the US to play with the New York Subliners for the start of the season. So this is where it kind of began a couple of weeks ago, with Method saying, "I am crying." Crim lied and told the team that no attachments are allowed on the sniper, so his human centipede of Huke, Shotzzy and ELGATO can sprint around and pulverize. Crim says, "I am a con artist." And as a result of this, then Cronus CDL Intel did a tweet saying, "Look, it looks like all the sniper rifle attachments have just been straight up banned," but that tweet was since been deleted because, the pros kind of came back and said, "Look, that isn't the case." Madcat says, "Look, COD is ruined," but Parasite's like, "We're not playing those rules, this is a stupid rule." But as Slasher says, "We haven't even been playing S&D, so this is just not a thing. Crim is literally BSing on stream, but the snipers are a problem and nobody better dare compare this to CSGO, as we talked about this at the time." So, it seems like a couple of weekends later, the Crim was actually along the right lines here, and Crim was like, "Okay, I thought I heard this somewhere, I thought someone was saying that we couldn't use attachments on the sniper rifles." Slasher and co is like, "Okay, this is no way this is the case, this is perfectly legitimate, you use all the attachments you want." But a couple of weeks later, that is no longer the case, as Chrome says, new sniper GA released a trial GA. It seems to be that most of these trials end up going through for multiple reasons, but sniper rifles can only have one attachment right now. Seems like that attachment is the combat recon barrel, plus bullet velocity reduces the idle sway control. That's the only thing you're allowed to use on it. All the other attachments are gone. So on the Tundra, which of course is kind of the go-to sniper rifle in this game, that means that compared to the, that when you stack it with attachments, you get pretty fast aim down sights time, you get a one-shot kill all the way down to the waist. In this version of the game, that is no longer the case, right? The sniper is pretty much nerfed quite significantly from what it was. And I can understand their reasoning behind this, right? There's a few reasons why you could say that the sniper rifles are very strong in the game right now. The lack of flinch, as we've had in previous titles. The conversation around smoke grenades being very broken right now. People even saying, like, should we just get rid of smokes entirely out of Search and Destroy in this game? If they were to be gone, and right now they're limited in the amount that you can use in Search and Destroy, that would of course mean that snipers become more powerful because you can't use smoke grenades to block off lines of sight. So I can see why they think the snipers are too strong. The aim assist and stuff in this game is also relatively decent on them. So snipers looking very good in this game. We had that discussion really when the game first came out. Pro saying, look, snipers are too strong. Should we just GA them in their entirety? And they seem to have decided that instead of GAing them completely, they're just going to get rid of pretty much all the attachments on them, which means they're much more sluggish to use. I'm sure we're not going to have as many flashy quickscopes as we would have in the Pro League if we were having these attachments all being allowed. But maybe for the sake of, competitive integrity and ensuring that snipers don't just completely dominate the maps, maybe this is viable. It is interesting to me that we look at a map like USS Texas, for example, way back in Call of Duty World War II. It was a pretty regular occurrence that a team like Red Reserve, they would pull out 2 sniper rifles on their offense, right? And nowadays, I imagine that the pros wouldn't let that fly, right? Back in the day, like Zero and Scraps were both using sniper rifles, and I'm sure the pros of today, with this new GA meta that we kind of have throughout Call of Duty history, would be like, okay, well, the snipers must be way too strong if people are using 2 on a map. But even now, like in a 4v4 environment, is anyone really using 2 snipers in certain situations? Maybe not. I mean, you can definitely say they're very strong, but maybe getting rid of all the attachments is unnecessary. I'm not really sure. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, because on a lot of the other weapons in the game right now, let's say the 74U, for example, those attachments are all pretty much gone. They got rid of a load of the barrels. So I can see why once you take one step towards getting rid of some attachments on some weapons, like we really did back in World War II for the first time, getting rid of long barrel on the bar, now it gets to the point where pretty much all the attachments are being banned and only the combat recon is going to be allowed, it seems, for professional professional players, and this of course creates some issues when you're looking at the challenger scene. You're looking at, for example, like game battles and stuff, where none of this stuff is being followed because it's too complicated to keep up with or really deal with. Will these be the rules in league play, for example? Will it eventually come into the CDL rule set? That's something that would certainly make sense, I suppose, to combine what the pros are playing and what the rest of us are playing, but at the same time, do we really want the sniper rifle attachments to be gone in some of these other GAs, right? Like, there's a question as to whether that is fair and justified or not. But as Jacob and co say, they're also talking about the meta yesterday and to potential GAs, because Jacob says the 74U is by far the best gun in the current meta, but the SMG players, not so sure about that, right? They say the XM4 and 60Hz, so I imagine in these tournament servers, I think what they practice on maybe is 20-30Hz, something like that, but the tournament, the CDL servers they'll be playing the actual matches on are going to be 60Hz servers, which is at least good news. But as aBeZy says, XM4 and 60Hz is going to be the best, no debate. Scump says, facts, ARs are hilarious, I pick it up and get a 5 streak every time. I know the gun insta-kills literally a long barreled bar, but Slasher and Methods don't necessarily agree, says couldn't agree more, ... I also think the sub should kill even faster at range. 5 bullets from top laundry to top art is just a little bit too much. Dumb ARs camping up there should get one-shotted. They should also stray faster and challenge more from the top wings on checkmate. So that's some of the issues right now, at least some of the concerns by the AR players, especially on a map like Raid, for example, that you've got SMG players challenging gunfights they would never have challenged back in the day in Black Ops 2, because the SMGs just didn't shoot like that they do nowadays. And well, Jacob saying the 74U is the best gun in the meta. I think you can probably argue either way. The subs obviously are going to argue their way, saying the XM4 is better. The ARs are going to argue the other way. It's just the classic case. This stuff happens every single time. But as you know, Jacob says, how are you just going to assume that idiot's kind of entertaining? And Octane obviously isn't also convinced that the XM4 is so good, right? He's probably getting beamed left, right, and center by the 74U. And well, having to deal with these players saying all this type of stuff. So when you have all these discussions on the timeline, raises the question, what's going to be the next thing GA'd out of the game? I don't think the 74U will be gone. I think the pros just like it too much. It's just their type of weapon, right? It doesn't recoil. It shoots very straight. It has the correct amount of bullets in the magazine. It's just that type of weapon which feels right for pros. Therefore, that's what they're going to be using, and therefore it's not going to disappear, right? Kind of the same with the MP5 and the M4 in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It does seem like the feel of weapons a lot of the time determines what gets GAs and what does not. But of course, this sniper attachment GA is another pretty interesting one we just discussed. Also wanted to mention this before we finish off the video, the scrims that went down yesterday between OpTic and FaZe. Always pretty interesting when these two teams play each other. Next Saturday, of course, the league is going to kick off. I believe it's Sunday, which is well, a week today, where we get OpTic versus Los Angeles Thieves in that opening matchup of the of the season in that kickoff classic. But yesterday they were scrimming against FaZe. I think FaZe's maybe Cellium was hosting this one. It's pretty difficult to tell given the fact that it's a lot of the time it is host wars in these scrims. But yeah, I think OpTic ended up winning this 5-3 in terms of map count. So a pretty damn close affair once again, similar to those OpTic versus Dallas scrims that we saw the other day as well. OpTic also scrimmed against Los Angeles Guerrillas, and it's got to be said here really, and maybe it's a topic I can touch on another day. But well, LAG, I think that they're the only team that's remaining on the West Coast, and we saw a lot of complaints last season from teams on the West Coast getting absolutely screwed in terms of host, and they got completely bodied in this scrim. So like it was not even close. Like they completely smoked them 8-0. I think this first map Envoy went 39-6 or something, just outrageous. So the fact that LAG are on the West Coast, they might not be the best team anyway. They're they're kind of getting bodied right now, and it doesn't necessarily spell the best thing for them, given these first few months of the season at least are probably going to be once again in an online environment. So yeah, that's how the scrims were going yesterday. Also thought this was interesting from COD League. You can pick two teams from any era of COD. What is your dream matchup? I think a lot of people would say the OpTic Gaming dynasty of Crimsix, Karma, Scump, and Forbal throughout Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare versus the Complexity dynasty from back in the day with Crimsix and Karma on as well, if it was possible to match the two up with Aches and TP, of course. Kind of Black Ops 2 Complexity versus the Black Ops 3 OpTic Gaming, you could say. Could be a dream matchup. What game would you put them on, I suppose, is another question. Maybe there's an alternate universe where something like that is possible. And just this final clip here from Neptune, especially with that discussion on whether the AK-74U or the XM4 is the stronger. Well, Neptune definitely showing right here that his XM4 can shoot very straight indeed against the Los Angeles Thieves. Enjoy taking your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm know you enjoy this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Flash front, Tommy. Three guys front, one guys one shot. Nice, good step. No. Yup. Oh! Thank you. But chill, bro. You was 1v2, so we were all. Nice, good step. Nice, Paco. Shoot his body. Go on.
Nice him, Paco.